Yes, guys, so we're back with a new watch along. Today we're going to be painting another dog portrait. It's another commission. So obviously we want to try and keep things a bit quicker than the previous video, but if you've got any questions about anything, so we can discuss in these videos, just add them in the comments. So I have done a few rough sketches in my sketchbook as per for this portrait. So sort of got a decent idea of how and where features are laid in. So in my mind, I'm just trying to think about how we would normally paint dog portraits or dogs in general. Think about their key features. The features are going to be the same. They're just going to be in different proportions. So, for instance, the snout will be shortened. But the ears in this remain at quite a length. I think I'm going to take my brush size a bit bigger because at the minute I'm noodling into detail too soon for my liking. If you're wondering what brush I'm using the Raf Mitchell Pencil Brush 5 HB. This is part of my pencil brush pack. If you're interested in it, you can click the link below, takes you to my website, and from there you can see all my different brush packs, not just pencils, but we've got pens and inking stuff as well. So go check it out. They have great pencils to use. I created them based upon real pencil samples, and the actual marks and detailed patterns they create on a macro and micro level, and they feel great to draw with. So yeah, they work in all major drawing programs, so not just Photoshop. Just getting this left ear in. Probably it's too wide. I can tell it's certainly too wide. And where's my razor? Bring the opacity up on this. So I want to try and get this sort of portrait laid in quicker, so the video isn't so long. Also testing my skills, but I do have a feeling this video will still be a very long video, and I can appreciate that's not ideal in certain scenarios, but once again, it's all a work in progress. get those eyes in, and then just always thinking about the skull structure underneath, because obviously this dog's got a lot of fur upon it, so you'll lose the majority of that structure underneath eventually, but it's always good to base it upon that to start off with, to help you get your first mark sort of in and set you off on a good path. So I thought the last piece we did was, considering I hadn't drawn or painted in Photoshop for a long time, was a fair success of how it turned out. I was quite pleased with it. The client was very happy with it, which is always great. And they were very thankful of the piece. But like always trying to push ourselves further. Hopefully we can make this one even better and a bit more progression in the skills. I'm always learning, and so are you guys, so it works both ways. And I can appreciate I've probably drawn his head too big to start, but that's the joy in working digitally. You can easily change that. Then sort of neck in by here, and then I'll go down to his chest. Just thinking about how our chests would connect into our shoulders and our arms, and take that same logic into drawing the dog. Nice curved flowing lines as much as possible. I don't think his chest is that wide. So we're going to just take this with a lasso, and then Command T to free transform, bring it in a bit tighter. Maybe like that, by there. And I don't think his ear would come out as far. So yeah, obviously I need to work on my commentary whilst I am doing these sort of videos. Can appreciate that 100%. So consciously, we'll try to talk more. And once I get an understanding of what you guys want to hear about, and we could talk about all sorts of different things. Now with forced perspective, try to make his paw bigger as it comes towards us, and also darkening that line as it's closer to us. And further away, the more faint the line can be. And just work it on his left side here. So we're just going in the legs and just having a look at where they make contact, really, where they intersect the head. This paw needs to come down a bit further, I think. And this leg is much skinnier than originally planned. So yeah, if you haven't already checked out, or let me rephrase, if you want to know a bit more about me, and if you haven't checked out my Instagram already, it's at Design by Raf. It's the same as the YouTube handle, but we do a lot of graphic design stuff on there at the moment. Looking to do more product design and add more of my drawings on there as well, and really make it a nice creative hub with purpose. So not just graphic design and product design, but looking into like creative marketing and stuff like that. And how we can use my designs to create a nice ecosystem. I've looked into and initial thoughts, not in detail, but about obviously clothing and stuff like that. So I really want to nail down with all that. And sort of like make it all come to life, basically. I mean, I studied product design as my degree. I was always very the artistic one, you know, and had really good draftsman skills and so on. And then I came across The Future, amazing YouTube channel, came across them. and they were heavily on their graphic design. And I was looking at my work at the time, my products, and I realised I needed to improve on my graphic design skills, because that was how I was going to communicate my work. And if you don't present your work well, it's not going to be as good, or you're going to lesser your chances, even if your work's great. You need to learn how to present it. For instance, a painting from a child could be as abstract as anything, but if you frame it and you hang it on a lovely wall, give it the right amount of space, and put a spotlight on it, and you're really presenting it like it's a piece of art, and it'll get appreciated like a piece of art. If you take that a step further, if you present that in a gallery, then it's not just a child's painting anymore. It's much more than that. So that's why I wanted to really focus on presenting and graphic design, and I got more into graphic design through that. And the bulk of my channel, bulk of my Instagram page is built on graphic design tutorials. And I sort of want to, I'll continue that, but I want to shy away from that and add more functional stuff to it, not just here's a tutorial, blah blah blah. I want to do more creative stuff with my marketing and social media, and I want to have more fun with it, because it got very repetitive, and the algorithm's always changing, and yeah, I just needed a break from doing those tutorials, really. And I'm just looking back to the painting now. I'm just looking back at it, and the proportion between these back legs and the front legs is all off at the minute. And this front leg here as well. So let's try and sort this out. Lasso tool, bring it across. Zoom out a bit. Might stretch it. The front one. Now the back legs. Make it a bit smaller. Bring them up. And that's looking a bit better. Yeah, so I think that's my rough sketch, sort of. Let me just have a quick glance over it. Cool. So next step, I've just added a new layer, and I'm gonna rename it to Refined Sketch. There we go. So we're going to consciously try and make this sketch, as it says, more refined. I made some slight adjustments to proportion and stuff, which I thought needed to be done. But yeah, for this one, we'll really try and get that fur and have a really well developed sketch by the end. Get that eyelid coming over. And I think one of the challenges will be to get it'll be made in the fur with all the quills and all the straight clumps of it. The plan is will be to knock away the sketch lines, so we're just left with what we do in our highlight and shadow layer and our refined sketch and our little bounce light as well. And when I'm drawing the fur, I'm not looking at specific strands of hair. I'm looking at more so how it all flows together than line for line sort of thing. And this moustache, you can build a lot of character into it. I'll try to anyway. I'll be very time conscious with this one. Hopefully we can bring it in around the 2-hour mark, but from the last video I doubt that's going to be possible. Now obviously the eyes on this particular portrait is going to tell a lot, because he's got this sort of cockeyed sort of approach to him. I can just I'm going to turn up the screen brightness above here so I can really see into it. Yeah, once again, these brushes are amazing for shading and drawing with. They've got a really good feel to them. That's why I like to use them for my paintings and commissions. And if you are interested in them, just take a look at my website. They're all on there. You'll find a bunch of other stuff as well. A blog space. So if reading's your thing, you want to read about how you can improve your skills in various different disciplines, that would be the place to do it. Now, there's not too much visibility within the eyes on this particular portrait. They are pretty darkened out. But if the light's hitting on the right sort of side here, we're getting some bits there. That will then mean like this side will be lighter, and then the left hand side will be lighter, as the iris is the shape of it's a cone shape. So it'll pick up the light from that spot. And I'll explain more about that in another video. About how you render eyes. Right, need to get a move on with this, I think. You're gonna have a lot of overlapping sort of fur and hair here. And underneath that all, it's where we're gonna have his mouth. And I'm gonna keep my brush size as it sort of was, and just hatch in some areas of darkness, just so I'm aware when I render a bit more, just to help this drawing, so to say, this stage. Yeah, and so basically, picking up from my story, after when I was studying product design, um, got into sort of like promotion stuff and marketing within nightlife, and sort of from that, and consuming a lot of Gary V content as well as the Futures content, because they crossed over into some marketing stuff as well, and helping to build your business and brand and stuff. From that grew a bit more of a interest within creative marketing side of things as well. So at the bottom of the ear now, we had that curly hair, and that goes into some straight to strands and clumps, which you can see. I'm just thinking about the skeletal structure underneath now, and drawing the hair where I would mark my lines for muscular and skeletal structure. This will just help guide the eye and describe what's actually in the image. And we're going to have to keep this sort of fur type of rendering in mind when we come to laying our colour and stuff. And this can be the time consuming moment and very repetitive when we're just sketching in all the fur clumps. I mean, I'm doing it very loosely and not really looking as much as I should to my reference when I'm doing these clumps of fur, but I'll get the gist of it. So it gets a bit longer as we get to the claw and the paw. Right. And then once again, thinking about the direction of the hair, where it's growing from, to create that sort of feeling. Yeah, it's way too low, I think. Not happy with that. I'm not best pleased with the refined sketch that I'm doing here, to be fair. And these legs are out of focus in my image, so we'll just loosely describe some fur suggestions for them. Because it's so dark within the eye area, it's quite hard to pinpoint what's going on in there, but we can take educated guesses and go from there. If you go with the so it's dark, as I know it's catching light on the top bit, so this area should be darker. It's the left side catches some light across this top here. So this sort of falls into shadow. Darker. That'll catch a bit more light there. Still. Something like that. Laying in a bit more of this fur, some of it's a bit flatter, and then some of it's really tightly curled. I think we've got a lot of curls coming in that neck area. The chin, I think, comes down to about here. That's straight, and then got some more hair out of focus by here. It's tight curls in by the pit. And back to some longer hair here. So I'm going to adjust our composition a bit, size and positioning. Something like that. It's a bit imbalanced because of those legs, but that'll do for now, I think. I'm going to start adding some local colour. And so basically local colour is the colour of your object without any light affecting it. Whether that be just fill light or reflected bounce light, it is the colour of the object without light, basically. So I'm going to go into the grey, beige sort of area. I'm gonna drop it. See what this is like. Okay, let's keep the refined sketch on top. Too dark. Well, that is a bit better. Maybe a touch lighter. So I want to still have some movement to put highlights in. So I don't want to go too bright too quickly. Yeah, we'll go with this for now. Get a nice outline of it. Now come in and just refine those edges. Now they don't have to be too perfect at the moment, but I like to try and make them as neat as possible at this stage, just in case. Saves for anything going wrong or looking off down the line. Rather get everything in place early on. That's why I like getting my sketch to a good quality. I wouldn't say this is one of my better sketches at all. It's not. But I had to make do with how we were working today. It was a good enough sketch to have that information down that I can then render on top of. Back legs, and now finishing off with the head. A lot of this I'm going to have to go over with a different colour anyway. I just want to get some base in there. Right. Think. Yeah, and in future videos we can explore with all the other different brushes and see what they can do as well. Right, there we go. That's better. Drop that opacity down. And now let's really look at colour. It's a lot of warm greys. And we'll be working a lot within the grey area. I'm just thinking about the clumps of fur that overlap there. So the ear's dark at the bottom, with a darker grey. I might even push it even further than that. I think I will. And sort of fades up to a lighter grey, with this part still being a bit darker in here. Drop that bit more saturated. There. Now trying to get a nice blend in between the values. Now I'm going to look, where does this colour exist again? He does have some grey underneath. I think this is his fur underneath. Now in this area, nice and it's got this dark grey. That comes up and around this side, and they sort of join nearly in the middle, like there. As so, this is all darker. We'll add some browns in there in a minute. So he's still got that sort of mask, isn't he? We sort of have some bit darker up here actually, as so, and up there. The ear that we can't really see much of gets darker at the bottom. As so, like so. It has pieces of it coming off. there's a few strands coming out from his nose area. And then we're going to pick up a lighter grey and lay that in. Keeping in mind that we're just stroke by stroke to create that fur texture from the very beginning at least, so we work it in there throughout the painting. Once again, I will make a conscious effort to make my commentary better within the next one as well. The next videos. I can understand it be quite boring at times, but I do hope you are learning something from this, gaining some sort of knowledge or skills, or getting some sort of value from it at least. So we'll grow above, but we've got other greys to lay in as well. Grey down the side. Certainly all grey in by here. Browner, darker on the chin area. Maybe go a bit lighter with it around certain parts of there. And up here. There we go. Nice. Nicely done. Do have some brown around that area. I want to get this nose sort of laid in as well. Let's take this colour and we go darker, saturated, more blue. That'll be the same as applied to the eyelids and colour by there. We're going to go darker actually, because of the lighting situation. And you get a bit brown. Something like that by there. I think you probably even go darker than that. Much more of that. And then we can go all the way. A bit more saturated. Lay that in there. Lay that there. Lighter. Lighter again. Shall we nail these eyes? Picking up this name darker sort of blue. This cool dark grey, or what's for the gum and lips. That will all be covered by hair mainly anyway. Just pick this, something like that there. Less saturated. Follow the form of the hair. Follow the form of the hair. Lay it in. Maybe a bit darker on the outside, outskirts. And then that grey. Pick that grey, go lighter. I'm going to go a touch lighter for this. I don't want to go brighter than that. Might change my background to a bit more of a mid-tone to help me. We are getting a few more darker within the strands in here. browns, a few more browns in the strands, and this way, just like so. Some at the pores area, ends. Spraying by here, as so, as well, and as so, yeah. And this grey needs to come down further. It's probably a bit lighter as well, because you'll see more of it over here, across that ear. Then you might just get a darker tone underneath. Like let's desaturate this. Underneath all that, just there, like that, nice. We are going darker over this side, like so. And we're going grey around the snout. Got more of this brown happening, but it's also a bit greyer. It's again painting, looking for the clumps first. Then we've got some browning happening on the edge of that tash. And we've got more browning happening. Bless me. Within here. Take that. It's come brown. And maybe a bit more brown up here. And darker as well. There. Nice. Nice. And it's mainly shadow, but I'm going to put it for the local colour as well. Add those nostrils in, just so we have a bit more visibility on them. Right. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, but we have some variation. In colour. I might just add a bit more brown in these creases area. Bit of variation. And lightly touching upon it on the back. Back legs too. Like so. And now we're going to add in our our shadows. So that's a multiply. We're a little cool with it. Pick out a cool grey. And get that brush. And let's see how this affects this side. Okay, we're going to add a clipping mask as well. To add the clipping mask, click Alt and then hover over between the lines of the layers, and that will clip it. Once again, once you get that shadow in, and when you blend it, you want to blend it with like the fur sort of form. That's how we're going to describe that there's fur there. Going to be a shadow from the ear, underneath the ear. There is going to be a shadow coming. Pardon me again. There. Maybe one up the center line as well. And in the pit area here, by the leg. And towards the back, there's some shadowing by there. And separating the legs, of course. On the underside. Right. And the shadow across the whole of the eye. That's all in shadow. Probably coming up to here. This is all in shadow as well. The left side of the nostrils in shadow here. And anything surrounding it, below it, underneath it. Takes a bit of shadow, even from ambient occlusion or cast shadow. Underside chin, shadow there. That part of the ear gets a bit of shadow from the head. This sort of part of the skull, got some shadow here. And then some shadow from the fur. Okay, so I think the bottom go lighter. This fur by here is a bit more in shadow as it folds underneath. It's still quite. It's a light shadow. It's a lighter one. I don't want to go over the top with it too soon. Shadow on that nose area, the break of the nose area, anyway. pop this bit darker underneath here. That's that. Put this here in shadow as well. Maybe not as dark as that. Maybe just like a lighter sort of. There, better. It's definitely darker than that patch of hair. So that'll do, and then just now we'll do the same, but we're going to put it into overlay and do some highlights. Normally I go warm with the highlight, but I'm going to see what it looks like with a blue highlight, because it is a blue sort of image. Now if I go with a warmer highlight, because I like to balance them out, cold shadows and warm highlights, but can always change the hue of it later. So I'll type in highlights, and we're going to go cool. Put them about here. Make sure it's on overlay. Yeah, cool, there it is. Just for this part, we're gonna just put that in lighter. That like so. And onto the skull area where the hair's been sort of parted. It's some highlight by there. The light. this cheek side. Pick up some light, isn't it? That's where the light source is coming from. Top of the legs. And then we're just going to lay this lighting in on the right to left, right to left. I did go quiet a bit then, I was concentrating, but make sure you, well, I'm telling myself to make sure to put this, to make sure I paint with the pattern of the fur and in the shape of, in the direction of it as well. Like so. I think let's just look over it. Nice. That one. So now we're going to add some high highlights and some darker shadows. Let's do some darker shadows first. Multiply and come down into this sort of region with your colour. And we're just going to brush in the areas where I think there could be some darker shadows. And then on this ear as well, you get a bit at the top, I think. Yep. Darker in by there. And I want to tidy up all these edges and fur in the next layer where we really sell that fur effect. But for now, let's keep it as it is. And just tidy some stuff up as we go. Be painting all negative space as well with fur. It'll be time consuming, but we'll try and get it all done within reasonable time. It's probably looking towards the 3 hour mark again, sadly, but I may just add some darker spots and patches within the shadow for fur texture more than anything else. Okay. And now for some high highlights. Once again, overlay. I'm going to push it up. Only hit the spots where it seems to be its brightest. And I think don't overdo it with the highlights. So leave it as so with the highlights, I think. Perfect. Okay, so we're back, and today, well, what we're going to work on is going to be the background. I'm going to lay in the background just very abstractly to start with, just to get a sense of it, really. And then we're going to work on applying the details and working over the top of the highlights, the shadows, and the layers that we've already drawn in. We're going to remove the pencil outlines and go from there. So what I'm going to do is add a new layer underneath the local color. I'm going to call this BG background. Gonna use the dog's fur color of the fur for reference, and then we are going to go more saturated, and we'll go darker. There is a pattern on this background on the carpet, but we'll apply that later. Maybe I'll do it off camera. Just depends on our timings. I think it goes across just by the eye, just underneath here. So I'll lay that in. I think it's got a nice weave stitched pattern, this carpet, which would be fun to capture, to be fair. And I think it would work well, but it'd have to be done in a tasteful way. Because obviously after this, we have to apply the shadows from where the dog's sitting and so on. There's like a fireplace in the background as well. Doesn't go the whole way, but we'll just separate it like this for now. At least that you get a sense of colour and tone and value. And if you blurring things, you want to give things sharper edges, softer edges, and keeping things in focus, give them sharper edges. So you can just soften that a bit, soften that a bit as well, and there. That'll do for now. Going to add a layer on top. Going to go into our greys again, our cool greys. Set that layer to multiply. We're going to go BG background shadow. And wherever we get a cast shadow from the dog, we will lay it in here. I'll go a bit darker for this section. And lay this in a bit more weight. And then lighter. For the surrounding areas. So on. Now I'm not best pleased with that shadow at the moment at all. But for now, it will be sufficient. Just gives us an idea. So now you want to put a new layer on top. I don't know what I'm going to call this layer. I'll just put 3 dots for now. We'll think of a name for it one day. We're going to take away the refined sketch and turn that off. We're going to bring our brush size smaller, and then we are going to go in and paint on top as we would normally. I'm going to zoom in around the eye area. We're going to start off with the eyes, I think. Okay. So take the colour from the eyes, and we're going to lay in this. This is going to be probably the most. This will take some time going in be a bit more careful, and really tighten things up. Like goes into a bit of a bluer sort of colour in here. Then we have this darker patina. Smaller with that, and just maybe a little saturated as well, just to give that some texture within that eye area, as so. This can go dark. I'm going to desaturate it as well. It does provide a ring around the iris. Now we can go a touch lighter, I think, really push it. I am exaggerating the eyes with the colour, with the saturation and the brightness. This is much darker in my reference. But we have a license to do so, otherwise you just get a photo taken, really, wouldn't you? Try and get more, much. I'm gonna get more by there. Light, so it's going to hit this a bit more, but we can't see it because of the shadow of the brow. That's not even correct, sorry about that. Make it smaller. Something. Now make it a touch bigger. So bring this down. Right there. Let's try and make this a bit thinner. Out a bit. We're going to bring this, we're going to take this darker as well, I think. I can't really decide to bring it up a touch. Something like that. And now let's put that highlight in. Just sit in. As so. Probably make a bit bigger one. And then one across here too. Then where the eye's wet, it'll pick up the reflection of the light. So we've got a couple of spots in by here. They're not as bright, but so I'm going to try and delicately place them. I think this one's a bit too bright on the left here. So more like that for now. And we've got more in there. This picks up a bit more of the light on the lower lid, the top of the lower lid, because that will be turning up, and that picks up more light there. Let me go in again, a bit brighter still. And just to simulate some texture, just add something like that, as so. Now to work on the right eye. Same principles, but I think we're gonna. This one is brighter, so on the whole, it is brighter. Okay. Let's gauge it. I'm gonna take this color. And we'll work from here. Let's bring that brightness up and lay that in like so. Touch, but less saturated. Touch brighter, less saturated. Yeah. Touch darker in here. There we go. And then once again, darker, less saturated in that eyelid sort of underline area. So a little bit brighter, we've got a bit of light reflecting off. So upper lid, darken that off. Now the pupil's probably a bit too long compared to the left side, so let's try and just take down its height. once, like we did with the left side, bit more blue in that touch. And to make the real to make it all pop properly, add in the light reflections. I mean, let's go with this one for this. One like that. A little one on the crossover. Need to get a bit less. A bit distortion. Shape. And we get a bit more of a slightly bluer tint. Faint on this far side. As so. But now to sort this lower lid as we did with the previous side. That's where the light's going to be hitting the top part of the lower lid. We don't have as much focus on it, so I'm not going to put as much detail into it. Darken it a bit and hit that top lid. That comes around pretty quick. So let that sort of fade into the next value. Let's work on the snout and the nose, and then we start laying in all the fur detail. Desaturate all this. Pick up a bit more light on the front. We get even brighter as it turns away. Let's try and get some of that texture in. Like so. And then get some more on top here. And might even go a touch brighter. Less saturated. Brighter again. A couple of the bigger ones. As like that. And we get a bit more brown off this top reflected light part, so just lightly put that in as so. I think that will do for the nose for now. Now to work on the fur. And now the key is to painting fur is the crossover between opacity is not 100%. Why is that? Let's put it 100%. Come on. Where the value and color shifts. So take value from each side and then paint in. And fade those edges over. That's the key to it. Now there's a bit more brown in this side, so I want to pick up that colour. Do so like that. Now I'm not doing it literally for the fur. I'm just looking at it, but then being a bit more expressive with it, I suppose, and not doing it literally where I see each fur strand. So not making it up, but having some educated placement, for lack of a better word. This grey does go up into here. I think I'm going to try and nail down these larger clumps first and then go in a bit more refined. So this is the part that's going to take the longest. So key to it is looking for those overlapping values and color changes, as we were doing around this section. But for this top approach, it's still a bit too messy for my liking. So I want to nail down where exactly we got the different color here. And then I can go in, for instance, here, put in some lighter strands. In the direction of where to go in, and maybe some darker ones as well, just build up a sort of textural feel. And this sort of comes off here, it overlaps into this area, which will be powerful because of the contrast between different color fur and the overlaps. So I want to get it looking real nice. Maybe this has a couple of strands coming off, like so, and that will sell it more. I'm going to drop this in here a bit more. And for me, I'm always thinking about the direction of the hair and the direction I use my strokes as well. And that does get quite bright on this one. Tone it down on the edges there. As so. Then work it all in. That will be for the long hair. Now for this curly stuff, my approach will be, obviously, we've got the highlights of it. You just want to sort of maybe a bit brighter for this for now. Just dab on the end where the hair would be catching on. Like that would be an abstracted way of doing it, and probably the best approach, a painterly approach. So at the ends here, I'll get something, then the next lot will get a bit, and then sort of like scales. If you're painting like a lizard or a mythical dragon, or a dinosaur or snake, you can take that sort of scale approach and go on as so. And then what you would do is where you see a highlight, you would then take the opposite and go in with a shadow and just emphasize it if needed, or vary it up, Don't have to emphasize every one, but certain areas you will. Maybe there's a bit more of a shadow, or there's a larger clump of fur together. Maybe it doesn't catch such a highlight. But always bearing in mind the way and the shape that the fur is curling. Because I don't want it to drag on, I'm going to leave you guys here. I'm going to work off camera. I might show you a bit of a sped up version, I might not. And then we'll run it from there, okay? So I've just finished off doing all the refined sort of work over the top of the sketch and over the top of the highlights and the shadows. So this is what we are left with, really. On the whole, I think it came out pretty well. Obviously, I think it's the first attempt I've done this type of curly fur, and even though it does create the illusion of it, I believe I can improve in this area much more, and for future works would want to add more realism to it with working on brush stroke. It seems a bit cluttered at the minute, and I think I can describe the form with fewer strokes or with the same amount of strokes or even more strokes, just in a better way. I think there's a better solution to the fur. It just feels all a bit graphic at the moment. But having said that, I'm happy with how it's turned out. For instance, the background, we use more sharper lines in the foreground of that background, and just provides impressions and just trying to, what's the word we're looking for? Add line that hints towards the pattern and the detail in the carpet, and then towards the background of the background, we use softer lines to sort of like change the focus, so the focus is mainly in the face of the dog. I'm pleased with how that's worked. That was sort of like the first time I've really consciously tried to do it, and just blurring between each value and each colour. Seem to do a half decent job of it. I think there's enough interest in that background. I don't think it's over the top, but it's close to that sort of mark. But 100% your focus is on the eyes and the face, where the most detail of my brushstroke and sharper lines were. So I'm pleased with how that's come out. And yeah, the process of it was just like I was showing you guys before, just chiseling in, working in on that fur. It does take time. But you work within those values either side of the value that you have put down for your highlights and shadows. So that's why each stage is important to do to your best ability and to always keep concentrated, because at times it's quite easy to just slacken off, especially when putting this fur in. But yeah, other than that, I want to wrap this up. If any of you watch this, thank you. If you've got this far, even better. And I'll see you in the next one.